इसको उठा के निकल। संसारधावानलिलिर्लोका प्रणयकारुण्य गणगणत्वं कृष्ण कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य दिशतारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद भज श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे संसार दावानललितलोका प्रणयकारुण्य घनाघनात्मं प्राप्त वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणरविन्दं महाभूते नित्यगीता वारित्रमाद्यं मनसोरसेन रोमाञ्चनं पाशुतरभारो वन्दे गुरु श्री चरणरविन्दं श्रीविग्रहाराधननित्यानंद श्रीरतन्मल्लिरवाटनाद युक्तस्य भक्तं संयुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं चतुर्विधा श्रीभगवत्प्रसादो स्वादनुतृप्तान् हरिभक्तशरणं ऋत्वेव तृप्तिर्भजतसदेव वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं श्रीराधिका माधव मधुर जलीला नामना कृष्ण तिरस्करणीया तत्रादिदास्यागतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं साक्षादीपेन समस्तशास्त्रे रूपसखाभागवतेव साध्वी किन्तु वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसाद यस्य प्रसादात् मृत्युलोपि ध्यायस्तु मां तस्य यशस्विकान्दां वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं संसारधावानललितं तपस्य कल्याणगुणार्णवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं कामननित्यगीता पवित्रवादना वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं माधुर्यवीरा गुणरूपनाम्ना प्रतीक्षणास्कादनलपश्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं समस्तशास्त्रे तस्तथा भागवतेव साध्वी किन्तु प्रभुराप्रियवतस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं यस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं यशस्त्रिशन्दं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ताय स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी अष्टपदिशतारिणे भज श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Namaste Narasimhaya Daine Hiranyakashipurvaksha Srimalakankanalare Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha Yato Yami Tato Narsimha Vajre Narsimha Vidaye Narsimha Narasimhamadam Sharanam Prapade Narasimhamadam Sharanam Prapade Tava Kara Kamala Mare Naka Madhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Anubhinga Keshavadita Kanhari Rupa Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Narasimhadev 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 Jaya Narasimhadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prabhupada 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 Jaya Shri Prabhupada Jai Gurudev 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 Jai Gurudev Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Namo Namo Vishnu Bhakti Devi Namo Namaha Om Rai Tulsi Devaya Kriyaya Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Devi Namo Namaha Om Rai Tulsi Devaya Kriyaya Keshavasya Namo Namaha Om Rai Tulsi Devaya Keshavasya Vishnu Bhakti Devi Namo Namaha Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Priyasi Namo Namaha Radha Krishna Seva Pavore Abhilashi Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Priyasi Namo Namaha Namaskarai Paravancha Purnai Vikapatoi Dovanotare Vrindavanavasi Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Priyasi Namo Namaha Saruparashi Namo Namah Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Namah Nivedana Shakiran Ratakara Nivedana Shakiran Ratakara Sevadikara Diyo Karunijadasina Sevadikara Diyo Karunijadasina Namo Namah Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Namah Krishna Dashavai Eyanam Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadayena Bhakti Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadayena Bhakti Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Namah Tulasi Krishna Prayasi Namo Namah Kani Kani Chapa Pani Brahma Kani Kani Chapa Kani Kani Darshani Pradashana Pade Pade Kani Chapa Pani Brahma Kani Kani Chapa Kani Kani Darshani Pradashana Pade Pade Kani Chapa Pani Brahma Kani Kani Chapa Kani Kani Darshani Pradashana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Tulsi Devani Jaya Krishna Sita Vishnu Sati Shantayi Satyakaya Namaha Jaya Tulsi Devani Jaya Krishna Sita Vishnu Sati Devi Satyakaya Namaha Jaya Tulsi Devani Jaya Krishna Sita Vishnu Sati Devi Satyakaya Namaha Ki Jai Ki Jai
Introduction. Only book. Okay.
Reciting Nodabhakti, seeing the deity, observing.
New book है ना marker दिया हुआ है.
Same book.
So there is a marker.
No, there is no marker.
There is a
Pulled up. No.
full line. Chapter number
13. Wow. This was 13. Oh, chapter 13 now. Verse 20. 5 potent forms of devotional service. Start with that. Okay. Chapter 13 is 5.
Chapter 13, 5 points, forms of devotional service. Rupa Goswami has stated that 5 kinds of devotional activities, namely residing in the Mathura, worshipping the deity of the Lord, reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, serving a devotee and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, are so potent that a small attachment for any one of these 5 items can arouse devotional ecstasy even in neophytes. Regarding worship of the Lord, regarding the worship of the form of the Lord or deity, Rupa Goswami has written the following verse. My dear friend, if you still have any desire to enjoy the company of your friends within this material world, then don't look upon the form of Krishna, who is standing on the bank of Keshi Ghat, a bathing place in Vrindavan. He is known as Govinda, and his eyes are very enchanting. He is playing upon his flute, and on his head there is a peacock feather, and his whole body is illuminated by the moonlight in the sky. The purport of this verse is that if someone becomes attached to the Sri Murti or the deity of Krishna by worshipping at home, then he will forget his relationship of so-called friendship, love and society. Thus, it is the duty of every householder to install deities of the Lord at home and to begin the process of worshipping along with all of his family members. This will save everyone from such unwanted activities as going to clubs, cinemas and dancing parties, and smoking, drinking, etc. All such nonsense will be forgotten if one stresses the worship of the deity at home. Rupa Goswami further writes, my dear foolish friend, I think that you have already heard some of the auspicious Srimad Bhagavatam, which decries seeking the result of fruitive activities, economical development and liberation. I think that now it is certain that gradually the verses of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam describing the pastime of the Lord will enter your ears and go into your heart. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that unless one has the ability to throw out, just like a garbage, the fruitive results of ritualistic ceremonies, economical development, and becoming one with the Supreme or salvation, one cannot understand Srimad Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam deals exclusively with the devotional service. Only one who has studied Srimad Bhagavatam in the spirit of renunciation can understand the pastime of the Lord, which are described in the 10th canto. In other words, one should not try to understand the topics of 10th canto, such as the Ras Leela, unless he has spontaneous attraction for Srimad Bhagavatam. One must be situated in pure devotional service before he can relish Srimad Bhagavatam as it is. In the above 2 verses of Rupa Goswami, there are some metaphorical analogies that indirectly condemn the association of materialistic society, friendship and love. People are generally attracted to society, friendship and love, and they make elaborate arrangements and strong endeavors to develop these material contaminations. But to see the Sri Murti of Radha and Krishna is to forget such endeavor for material association. Rupa Goswami composed his verse in such a way that he was seemingly praising the material association of friendship and love and was condemning the audience of Sri Murti or Govinda. This metaphorical analogy is constructed in such a way that things which seem to be praised are condemned and things which are to be condemned are praised. The actual import of the verse is that one must see the form of Govinda if one at all wants to forget the nonsense of material friendship, love and society. Srila Rupa Goswami has similarly described the transcendental nature of relishing topics which concern Krishna. A devotee once said, "It is very astonishing that since I have seen this personality of Godhead who is washed by the tears of my eyes, there is shivering of my body, and he has made me a failure in executing my material duties. Since seeing him, I cannot remain silently at home. I wish to go out to him always. The purport of this statement is that as soon as one is fortunate enough to contact a pure devotee, one must be anxious immediately to hear about Krishna, to learn about Krishna, or in other words, to become fully Krishna conscious. Similarly, there is a statement about hearing and chanting the Mahamantra. It is said that saints have been, it is said that saints have been able to hear the vibrating string of Veena in the hands of Narada, who is always singing the glories of Lord Krishna. Now this same sound vibration has entered my ears, and I am always feeling the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Gradually, I am becoming bereft of all attachment for material enjoyment. Again, Srila Rupa Goswami has described Mathura Mandal. I remember the Lord standing by the bank of Yamuna river, so beautiful amid the kadamba trees, where many birds are chirping in the garden, and these impressions are always giving me transcendental realization of the beauty and bliss. This feeling about Mathura Mandal and Vrindavan described by Rupa Goswami can actually be felt even by non-devotees. The places in the 84 square mile district of Mathura are so beautifully situated on the bank of the river Yamuna that anyone who goes there will never want to return to this material world. This statement by Rupa Goswami are factually realized description of Mathura and Vrindavan. All these qualities prove that Mathura and Vrindavan are situated transcendentally. Otherwise, there would be no possibility of invoking our transcendental sentiments in these places. Such transcendental feelings are aroused immediately and without fail after one arrives in Mathura or Vrindavan. In these statements about devotional service, sometimes it may appear that the result have been overestimated, but actually there is no overestimation. Some devotees, as revealed scriptures give evidence, have had immediate results by such association, although this is not possible for all. For example, the Kumaras immediately became devotees simply by smelling the incense in the temple. Bilvamangal Thakur simply heard about Krishna and then immediately gave up his beautiful girlfriend and started out for Mathura and Vrindavan, where he became a perfect Vaishnava. So these statements are not overestimations, nor are they stories. They are actually facts, but are true for certain devotees and do not necessarily apply to all. This description, even if considered overestimation, must be taken as they are in order to divert our attention from the fleeting material beauty to the eternal beauty of Krishna consciousness. And for a person who is already in contact with Krishna consciousness, the described results are not unusual. Some scholars argue that simply by following the principle of Varna and Ashrama, one can gradually rise to the perfection reached by practicing devotional service. But this argument is not accepted by the great authorities. Lord Chaitanya also condemned this idea while he was talking with Ramanand Roy about the gradual development of devotional service. He rejected the idea of importance of Varnashram Dharma when it was put forward by Ramanand Roy. He said that this advancement of Varna and Ashram is merely external. There is a higher principle. In Bhagavad Gita also, the Lord says that one has to give up all other principles of elevation and take simply to the method of Krishna consciousness. That will help one in achieving the highest perfection of life. In the 11th canto, 20th chapter, verse 9 of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord himself says, one should execute the prescribed duties of Varna Ashram as long as he has not developed the spontaneous attachment for hearing about my pastimes and activities. In other words, the prescribed form of Varna Ashram are ritualistic ceremonies of religion intended for economical development, sense gratification, or salvation. All of these things are recommended for persons who have not developed Krishna consciousness. In fact, all such activities are recommended in the revealed scripture only to bring one to the point of Krishna consciousness. But one who has already developed spontaneous attachment to Krishna does not require to execute the duties prescribed in the scripture.
Chapter 14, Guru Maharaj, does you want me that or he's done with writing?
Chapter 14,
Yeah.
Devotional Qualifications. Some scholars recommend that knowledge and renunciation are important factors for elevating oneself to devotional service. But actually that is not a fact. Actually the cultivation of knowledge or renunciation which are favorable for achieving a footing in Krishna consciousness may be accepted in the beginning, but ultimately they may also come to be rejected. For devotional service is independent not on nothing other than the sentiment or desire for such service. It requires nothing more than sincerity. It is the option of expert devotees that mental speculation and artificial austerities of yoga practice may be favorable for becoming liberated from material contamination, but they will also make one's heart harder and harder. They will not help at all in the process of devotional service. These processes are therefore not favorable for entering into the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Actually, Krishna consciousness, devotional service itself, is the only way of advancing in devotional life. Devotional service is absolute. It is both the cause and the effect. The Supreme Personality Godhead is the cause and effect of all that be, and to approach Him, the absolute, the process of devotional service, which is also absolute, has to be adopted. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita by the Lord Himself. One can understand me only through devotional service. In the beginning, His teaching of the Gita, the Lord said to Arjuna, "Because you are my devotee, I shall teach these secrets to you." Vedic knowledge means ultimately to understand the Supreme Lord, and the process of entering into His kingdom is devotional service. That is accepted by all authentic scriptures. Mental speculators neglect the process of devotional service, and by simply trying to defeat others in philosophical research, they fail to develop the ecstasy of devotion. In the 11th canto, 20th chapter, verse 31 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna says, "My dear Uddhava, for persons who are seriously engaged in my service, the cultivation of philosophical speculation and artificial renunciation are not very favorable. When a person becomes my devotee, he automatically attains the fruits of renunciation of material enjoyment, and he gets sufficient knowledge to understand the absolute truth. That is the test of advancement in devotional service. A devotee cannot be in darkness because the Lord shows him the special favor and enlightens him from within. In the 11th canto, 20th chapter, verse 32 and 33 of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord further instructs Uddhava, "My dear friend, the profits derived from fruitive activities, austerities, and the culture of philosophical knowledge, renunciation, the practice of mystical yoga, charity, and all similar auspicious activities are automatically achieved by the devotees. Those who are simply attached to me by loving service, these devotees have everything at their disposal, but they desire nothing outside of my devotional service. If ever a devotee should desire some material profit, like promotions to the heavenly planets, or some spiritual profit to go to Vaikunthas, by my causeless mercy, his desires are very easily fulfilled. Actually, a person who is developing Krishna consciousness and still has some attachment to material enjoyment will soon be freed from such a tendency by regularly discharging devotional service under the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master. Srila Goswami then recommends that one should not be attached to material sense enjoyment but should accept everything enjoyable which is in relationship to Krishna. For example, eating is necessary and one wants some palatable dishes to satisfy his sense of taste. So in that case, for the satisfaction of Krishna rather than for the satisfaction of the tongue, some palatable dishes may be prepared and offered to Krishna. Then it is renunciation. Let the palatable dishes be prepared, but unless they are offered to Krishna, one should not accept them for eating. This vow of rejecting anything which is not offered to Krishna is actually renunciation. This vow of rejecting anything which is not offered to Krishna is actually renunciation. And by such renunciation, one is able to satisfy the demands of senses. The personalists who try to avoid everything material may undergo severe austerities, but they miss the opportunity of being engaged in the service of the Lord. Thus, their renunciation is not sufficient for perfection. There are many instances where following such artificial renunciation without any contact with the devotional service, the impersonalist again fell down and became attracted to material contamination. There are many supposed renouncers even at the present moment who officially become sannyasis or renouncers and outwardly claim that spiritual existence is truth and material existence untruth. In this way, artificially, they make a show of renunciation of material world. However, because they cannot reach the point of devotional service, they fail to achieve the goal, and they again come back to material activities, such as philanthropic work and political agitation. There are many examples of so-called sannyasis who gave up the world as untruth, but again came to the material world because they were not seeking their real repose at the lotus feet of the Lord. One should not give up anything which can be utilized in service of the Lord. That is the secret of devotional service. Anything that can be utilized in advancing Krishna consciousness and devotional service should be accepted. For instance, we are using many machines for advancement of our present Krishna consciousness movement. Machines like typewriters, dictating machines, tape recorders, microphone, and airplanes. Sometimes people ask us, why are you utilizing material product if you condemn the advancement of material civilization? But actually we do not condemn. We simply ask people to do whatever they are doing in Krishna consciousness. This is the same principle on which in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna advised Arjuna to utilize his fighting abilities in devotional service. Similarly, we are utilizing these machines for Krishna's service. With such sentiment for Krishna or Krishna consciousness, we can accept everything. If the typewriter can be utilized for advancing our Krishna consciousness movement, we must accept it. Similarly, the dictating machine or any other machine must be used. Our vision is that Krishna is everything. Krishna is the cause and effect, and nothing belongs to us. Krishna's things must be used in the service of Krishna. That is our mission. This does not mean, however, that we should give up the principle of discharging devotional service or neglect ability by the rules and regulations prescribed therein. In the neophyte stage of devotion, in the neophyte stage of devotion, one must follow all the principles regulated by the authority of spiritual master. The acceptance and rejection of things should always be in pursuance of the devotional principle. Not that one can independently manufacture some idea of what should be accepted and what should be rejected. The spiritual master, as the visible manifestation of Krishna, is necessary. Therefore, to direct the devotee on behalf of Supreme Personality of Godhead. The spiritual master must never be carried away by an accumulation of wealth or large number of followers. The bona fide spiritual master will never become like that. But sometimes if spiritual master is not properly authorized and only on his own initiative becomes a spiritual master, he may be carried away by the accumulation of wealth and large number of disciples. He His is not a very high grade of devotional service. If a person is carried away by such achievements, then his devotional service becomes slackened. One should therefore strictly adhere to the principle of disciplic succession. A Krishna conscious person, being naturally purified, has no need of developing any other purificatory process of thought or action. On account of his being highly elevated in Krishna consciousness, he has already acquired all the good qualities and is following the rules and regulations prescribed for the mystic yogic process. Such rules are automatically practiced by the devotees. A concrete example is the quality of non-violence, which is considered a good qualification. A devotee is naturally non-violent and therefore does not have to practice non-violence separately. Some people seek purification by joining the vegetarian movement, but a devotee is automatically a vegetarian. He does not need to practice separately in this matter or to join any society for vegetarians. He is automatically a vegetarian. There are many other instances showing that devotee need not practice anything but Krishna consciousness. All the good qualities of the demigod automatically develops within him. Those who are intentionally practicing to be vegetarian or to become non-violent may have good qualifications by a material estimation, but these qualifications are not sufficient to make them devotees. A vegetarian is not necessarily a devotee. A vegetarian is not necessarily a devotee, nor is a non-violent person. But a devotee is automatically both vegetarian and non-violent. We must conclude, therefore, that vegetarianism or non-violence is not the cause of devotion. In this connection, there is a story in Skanda Puran about a hunter who was converted into great devotee under instruction of Narad Muni. When the hunter became a perfect devotee, he was not prepared to kill even an ant. Parvat Muni, a friend of Narada's, saw the wonderful transformation of the hunter by devotional service and remarked, "My dear hunter, your unwillingness to kill even an ant is not very astonishing. Any person who develops the devotional service has all the good qualities automatically manifested in his person. A devotee is never a cause of distress to anyone." Sri Rupa Goswami affirms herein that purification of consciousness, purification of bodily activities, austerities, peace of mind, etc., all become automatically manifest in the person who is engaged in devotional service. Sri Rupa Goswami affirms here in that there are 9 different kinds of devotional service, which are listed as hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping the deity in the temple, praying, carrying out orders, serving Krishna as a friend, and sacrificing everything for him. Each and every one of these processes is so powerful that if anyone follows even one single one of them, he can achieve the desired perfection without fail. For example, if one is attached simply to hearing about the Lord and another is attached to chanting the glories of the name, both will achieve their desired goal in devotional service. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this has been explained. One may execute 1, 2, 3, or all the different processes of devotional service, and at the ultimate end, he will achieve the desired goal of being established in devotional service. There are concrete examples of how a devotee discharged one of these services and achieved perfection. King Parikshita achieved the desired goal of life simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami achieved the desired goal of simply by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj became successful in his devotional service by always remembering Lord. Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, was successful by engaging herself in massaging the lotus feet of the Lord. King Prithu Maharaj became successful by worshipping in the temple. Akrura became successful by offering prayers. Hanuman became successful by rendering personal service to Lord Ramchandra. Arjuna became successful by being a friend of Krishna. And Bali Maharaj became successful simply by offering all of his possessions to Krishna. There are also examples of devotees who discharge all the different items together. In the 9th canto, 4th chapter, verse 18, 19 and 20 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a statement about Maharaj Ambrish, who followed every one of the devotional processes. In this verse, Sukadeva Goswami says, King Ambrish first of all concentrated his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna and then engaged his speech, describing the pastimes and activities of the Lord. He engaged his hands in washing the temple of the Lord. He engaged his ears in hearing of the transcendental glories of the Lord. He engaged his eyes in seeing the beautiful deity in the temple. He engaged his body in associating with the pure devotee of the Lord. In bracket, when you associate with someone, you have to sit down together, eat together, etc. And in this way, the touch of your body with his body is inevitable. Ambrish Maharaj made his association only with the pure devotees and did not allow his body to be touched by anyone else. He engaged his nostrils in smelling the flowers and tulsi offered to Krishna, and he engaged his tongue in tasting Krishna Prasad, which is food prepared specifically for offering the Lord, and the remnants of which are taken by devotional service. Maharaj Ambrish was able to offer Maharaj Ambrish was able to offer very nice prasad to Krishna because he was a king and he had no scarcity of finances. He used to offer Krishna the most royal dishes and would then taste the remnant as Krishna Prasad. There are no scarcity in his royal style because he had a very beautiful temple wherein the deity of the Lord was decorated with a costly paraphernalia and offered high-grade food. So everything was available and his engagement was always completely in Krishna consciousness. The idea is that we should follow in the footsteps of great devotees. If we are unable to execute all the different items of devotional service, we must try to execute at least one of them as exemplified by previous acharyas. If we are engaged in the execution of all items of devotional service, as was Maharaj Ambrish, then the perfection of devotional service is guaranteed from each one of these items. With the first complete engagement, one becomes automatically detached from material contamination, and liberation becomes the maid servant of the devotees. This idea is confirmed by Bilva Mangal Thakur. If one develops unalloyed devotion to the Lord, liberation will follow the devotee as his maid servant. Srila Rupa Goswami says that the regulative principle of devotional service are sometimes described by authorities as the path of serving the Lord in opulence. Finish the chapter 14. Will you continue or chapter 15?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare.
Which one you want, big or small?
Shri Guru
Kevala Bhakti Sadhana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadhana
Vandamuri Shabadana
Holy Samadhana Remove now. મારના કરી હો મને આશા.
Offer flowers.
શ્રી ગુરુ ચરણે રતિ ઉત્તમ ગતિ. જે પ્રસાદ પૂરે સર્વ આશા. ચક્ષુદાન દિલો જય જન્મે જન્મે પ્રભુ છે. દિવ્ય જ્ઞાન રીધે પ્રકાશિતો એમાં ભક્તિ આહા હોય તે અવિદ્યા નાશ જાતે. તેમાં ભક્તિ આહા હોય તે અવિદ્યા નાશ જાતે. વેદે ગાયા રચરિતો લોકેનાથ લોકે રચિવાના. લોકેનાથ લોકે રચિવાના. પ્રભુપાદ પતિત પાવના. જય પ્રભુપદ જય પ્રભુપદ પ્રભુપદ જય પ્રભુપદ. જય જય ગુરુદેવ 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 જય જય ગુરુદેવ. હરિ બોલ હરિ બોલ હરિ બોલ ગોર હરિ બોલ. ગોર હરિ બોલ હરિ બોલ હરિ બોલ ગોર હરિ બોલ. ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवजा गोपाल कृष्ण गोस्वामी श्री गुरु महाराज की जय. ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवजा ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत संस्कृत महाराज की जय. रामाचार्य श्रीदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय. श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय. वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय. नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय. भक्ति देवी की जय. श्री महारानी की जय. कन्या की जय. हरे महामंत्र की जय. श्री श्री मंगल आरती की जय. श्री गुरु पूजा की जय. गौर प्रेमानंद हरे
कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण गौरांग.
Can end it.
Just show the video.